Zensese TV.
Alex Kamangila adali pa Zoom pomwe amakamba za corruption katangale mmene amakhalira ndi mmene amachitira makamaka mboma anthu amboma mmene amapangira katangale akafuna kuba ndalama. Ndi tamvetsera ine mwachidwe
chomalizira chimene manena nchonena kuti funso limene mazifuza ndi what happens when a corrupt practice has occurred, when somebody has been found to be corrupt, chimachitika njani? So we know what happens. Nothing really is happening, especially for the big kahunas, especially for the people that are in government, especially for people with connections, people with statuses, especially for people ajesera andali. Zimachita kuoneka kuti ajesera mwakuti ena kumachita kukanganira na ndalama zokuba kwabera Malawi ena sukabera so azinzawo kina kwangolowa china balala. It's all of us. And I was making an argument to say, if we want to end corruption, we shouldn't wait for political will. We should wait for people's will. So panopa tukuyamba panopa kuti chomwe tikufunika ndi people's will. Ifeyo tonse tikhale ndi cholinga chothana ndi katangale. Tingamkhala ndi cholinga chothana ndi katangale, katangale akuchepa kwambiri, akunjenjemera kumene alipo. When we unite to fight against corruption, because don't say fair to Greece and Malawi corruption. One, we all agree that we want to fight corruption and we should fight corruption, and we all agree that when we unite, there's power. But as well, you can't unite with the corrupt to fight corruption. It's not on this Zajibwan, and it's not Zatulos Menezo. People, hey, you need to use the same people. Hey, you can't. No. We unite with only those people that are not corrupt. And the corruption made to kuyamba nayo, made to unite bange focus tonse. Is the corruption ya kuntunda 100 million mapita ogo. If we deal with corruption yama billion, people will not engage in corruption yotsika. People will not engage. So it's a top bottom approach, not a bottom top approach. You can't reach top if you start bottom corruption. So the bottom approach imangofuna kupanga ma sacrificial lambs, just what we call lip service, just to show kuti kupanga bokantu koma pali bebo chimene chikuchitika. Tiye ntikhala anthu ochenjera tsegule maso ndipo tuone kunena kuti dziko lathu ndi lathu. So I was just coming to talk about normalization of abnormalities, the things that we have normalized, but these are things that are abnormal. And those things sometimes they appear through institutionalized corruption. So much times galimoto imukuyionapo chigalimoto ichi nene muli maujeni on Facebook, that's the car. About TikTok, galimoto yake ndi imene galimoto imene mtengo wake ndi 450 million Malawi kwacha. You will see that in Malawi the heads of institutions acquaintances magalimoto zimene zo bwana waku polisi bwana waku ligwedi. These are institutions that are very poor. Prison kuja anthu amakhala kundende osadya madzi kumalephera kulipira bill mpaka na mota kuzadula. Kupezeka kunena kuti ngakhale ogwira ntchito kumene kuja osati akaida anyakewo koma ogwira ntchito what we call prison warders, their life it's a very sad life in terms of manyumba amene amakhala, the quality of life they live. Should I say the quality of life, the standard of life they live? It's questionable. You can't be expecting good head of that institution as in there chigambo cha 400 million. Chigambo jonena kuti tea okhala ndi 2 million, 3 million. Like, what are we doing as a country? And then we are this extravagant. How much fuel does this, guzzler waste a month? There are so many things. By institutionalized corruption, by the issue of the Office of the Attorney General. For years, Office of the Attorney General is never accountable on how it decides who gets paid when they have government owes them. When they have a judgment debt. Kanjira kuti Attorney General azipereka ndalama kwa mmene waimverera. It's a federal ground for corruption, and for years all the Attorney Generals have used that to facilitate corruption of the government of the day. or Attorney General. So this issue, Sivura Frank Kandi, my Attorney General, Mr. Frank Mbeda Oka, Command my Attorney General Onse, in terms of how they make their payments, as it were. Now, I just wanted to bring you to this example, AIP, za fertilizers. You see, kunali kugula fertilizer, kubuchala, kunali kutantani, na usadiviswa ni maskando au kuza fertilizer. Kuma hii ndi issue yofunikira kwambiri, kapena kuti munjira ina yobera yosiyana. Mene wapona kita ndi ali Soya, anapanga settlement ya 30 chakuti almost 40 million US dollars, 40 million US dollars consent to pay this institution, which basically boma linapeza third party or muntu ina or institution ina yoti igule fertilizer kuipa sandalama kuti niyo panganiza fertilizer ka institution kamene kaja kanapeza so muntu ina oda agule no fertilizer kupeza kuti kumene kuja ana sana mvani bwino sisi naende bwino mukuziwa amene anapeza kuti walandira suit kupeza kuti boma so ndimene lili momo boma lija ndikusapanga settlement. So it's basically a money heist. Apapa anapanga money heist, and Pastor Tom was part of this deal. Fadi naza zindikira later anthu ndinakumana nawo ku hotel wapona gida ali ndali so hata kaba debu Tom oil lemigez atana indana much advisor our president on religious affairs, whatever religious affairs are in this regard, in this nation. Kuzazindikira kuti amwene Tom uja mapanga deal pamene pajawo mbusa amene uja mapanga deal ndipo ndiye kuti president iso anali momo fandama zimati zikabedwa kumakhala shares uyajabu kuona Attorney General nthawi imene athabu kusaini amene 40 almost 40 million US dollars. So pena pakiti kamada ndaula za forex chani ndama zimapita mwambiri ndama zijantha kusowa kwambiri mukayangana za AIP mafamu inputs aja muyangani kunena kuti kuja mapita kuti ma budget are the last 5 years, even this year mukaiona kuti how much money was given and how much money went into the farmers, muona unena kuti mwina pandalamazo zimene zimapita kwa alimi eniyo ndi mwina 20%. Fako seku kumakhala kuba zikafikaso mwa mafumuso abe. So zimene zimapita kwa anthu ena amene amapanga kuti they really were supposed to get this kind of support amakhala mwina ka 10-20%. Why do we still continue? They will come to you kuti tikuopa andale amakupusisana andi numalola kumapusisida malawa tikuopa kuti tikapanda kutani kupanga za fertilizer tiluza zisankho. This is a political issue. Alibe posangaluza zisankho chifukwa kuti sana pereke fertilizer amene sakupereka so fertilizer. There's a solution, there are better solutions, but they don't do that because the money goes to them, their political party, their family life. It sponsors their extravagant life. Most of the lifestyles that people live in Malawi, they can't afford them state-wise. So nimafuna kuonesa news hizi yoyambayo muona title kunena kuti a nation of crisis. Pa anthu amene bakufuna fuel yonse akoneka kuti palibe water. Anthu angodigira. Pansi wakoneka office yonata Attorney General in the spotlight over recent payouts. So this is our life. Kumbali kwina kumuona our capital amene so now institution ana kuyindisa for 3 years munthu mozi. Komano anyway nkhani yawo ya makamba nkhani yofunikira mana rise to the occasion government nkhani ya ma consumers kuti zinthu zingokwera mtengo. Also now Japonda titayamba nkhani because in 2024 titayambisa nkhani ya corruption in the judiciary, in the justice system ankakambaso za ma payouts fankhani janaonesa ija ya almost 38 million US dollars inazapeza kuti African Parliament ndi the then leader of opposition Japonda, Mr. Japonda. Now quickly I want to bring you to the issue of oppressors. Kuti katangale uja mukamali mbana naye pamapezeka anthu ena amene amaja nawo tiziduswa so tisama kauti akuja mipamba eni koma amakauti angotola nawo zokugwa pansi pa tebulo. Anthu ene amene amapanga corruption aja kamagawana zina zimapeza zikugwa amene amatola aja ndi amene amalimbana kwambiri ndi anthu olimbana ndi corruption amene amakhala patsogolo kumenya nkhondo kulimbana ndi wina aliyense amene akufuna kuthana ndi katangale. Chifukwa chani? Chifukwa chonazo kuti andi the house nigger mentality. So Harriet has put it so well. Kunena kuti I saved 1,000 slaves. I could have saved 1,000 more if they knew they were slaves. So kuli too much hero worshipping. Sunga mchule chilima. Mwani mchule chilima. Ana mwalira. Chan. You know. Adolf Hitler mma mchula zaka zosezi. Adolf Hitler sana mwalira. Adolf Hitler ana mwalira kalikali, but we still call out Adolf Hitler for his, you know, whatever he did to mankind, you know. Kamuzu banda imwe kuzikwatu konkuno. Kamuzu tima mchula mpaka na pano. Tima nena kamuzu. Kuma kamuzu ana mwalira kalikali. A professor bingo amtalika. Antu na ama munena nditu. Nabandrama, napanga janja. Kuma ana mwalira bingo. So why should we treat Chilimas differently? Ngati tili ndi umboni mmene tili nawo ndi ufulu woyankhula. Ngati tingayankhule zabwino za munthu tilinso ndi ufulu woyankhula zoyipa zake atamwalira. Unless kuti lero ndi osazayankhula soka zabwino tisayankhule zabwino zake, zoyipaso zake tisayankhule. Hero worshipping is a very deadly issue. There's an issue of hegemonic cliques. Kuti ma families kumalayi kuja. I mean, they always benefit from corruption, and they always benefit no matter which regime. And manoba mafamily ajenjera kuti mafamily so amaniza kuti mufamily munomo mukale ena a DPP ena a MCP, so that in case MCP azawina itizakale kuti sazakale bazuwa so awazaje bemboma maopportunities azibwera. That's what has happened. That's what continues to happen. But mafamily ena amapezeka be boma of that time, you know, ndi akhala kuti mwina ndoje muona the Jihanas abize all entire MCP win our family Jihana azigwira ntchito ndi MCP. Wina aliko opposition ndi DPP. Kena wachakachika kamene kuchakachika kena ko MCP kamazagwa wina azakhaudi the second vice president. Wina so mafamily angapo the bandas, you know, they are families in Malawi who will never feel the heat. Imene imndine tinga ipange feel. That's why fighting corruption has never been a priority. I would encourage you to watch 12 Years a Slave, Django Unchained, The Great Debaters. Chifukwa chawo lesi ndi kuganiza mavuta amene timakumana nawo timaba nama tamangirati democracy is the problem, we need to have a dictator. Osamakhala ndi ulesi kuganiza. You can't talk about democracy if there is no accountability, if there is no rule of law. So we deal if timapeza kuti about democracy. Kuma democracy yake imakhala ya China. Sinabange experience democracy any because there are no accountability. Tusamakhala accountable for their actions. Rule of law je mango made ma teje mapama malamulo amango tengedwa kuti amagwisira ntchito nthawi imene afuna. So then you can't say good dictatorship is better because we have seen dictatorship and there have been situations where dictatorship has ruled in Africa for a long time, and we see what happens. Dictatorship isn't equal to development as people would suggest. In fact, corruption imakhala high where there is a dictator. Kumano corruption imakhala ye. Kumama tenga kuti munthu amatoka Kamuzu, you know, Kamuzu at a certain point was another limit kuposa dziko. That's why by the case yaje na Press Trust Corporation and all that, where Maungulu made a very interesting judgment, which remains an important judgment in the law of trust and I think other subjects of law. As a continuation, I wanted just to discuss the impact of corruption in the health sector. Why health? Because umoyo umati tonse za umoyo zimati kuza. Ndimalingalira how we have imported medical care. Umoyo watu timakaupeza ku India. The government sponsors some of those trips, some are individual, but I just wanted to focus on what government funds. I was asking myself, how much has government spent in the last 20 years sending people to China, not to China, but to India for treatment? Ndalama zimene zizi kuti sitinakatha kuzisunga kapena kuti kubwereka kwina wake ndikumanga chipata choposa chimene chiti ku India sizingatheke zimenezi ndikutenga so ma expert aku India aja ndikubwera kumaza kugwira ntchito kugula mai zipangizo zonse you know you see kuti in the funded trips for medical care, there is also corruption in there. There's also money that it can be said to have been spent for people that went to China, that went to India, paid bills there, including medical bills and accommodation and food. They were basically ghost patients. If you to look at the arrangement, you find there will be ghost patients. Koma izizi zimapezeka kuti anthu ambiri amamwalira imfa zonena kuti sizimayina ukhazo lero. Muganize munthu wadwalika kuti ayende akafika ku India chilendo chautali. Munthu amapezeka wamalizika wala kama akafika makhawa chakachikiratu mankhwala aja ampase amakhaso amphamvu. Amchakachikiraso mankhwala aja akapulumuka samene Mulungu wamkunda kwambiri. Ayamba kupeza bwino. Akangomaliza kupeza bwino akuganiza kuti ichi ndizibwerera kumunzi. Asana khazikike kuti muno wainya mukaso ndegeso ya utali ulendo. So akamaliza fika so apange sonesi the impact of the travel. So a continuation of mavuto osata. We cannot as a country after all these years of independence of multi-party democracy, President Duterte upita to South Africa. Like what happens with us? Like where is our pride as a country? I want to see the anger from the citizens, and when I say the citizens, I include the politicians, the pastors, the people without any position. Mafumu, I have a lot of problems with mafumu. Kandi maparamount, kandi inkosi, kandi group village headman, kandi mafumu at any level. Traditional leaders, where is your pride? Kodi mukamati you are a traditional leader. What does it mean? Being a traditional leader means saving your people. So how is it kuti mukulola katangali kumapita pa level iniyo zomwe mukufuna ndi nyumba yanu ndi magali moto basi akupase ngamu ndi onolia ndalama yomwe mmalandira pa mwezi basi mukatero mukumva ndo. That's not being a king. That's not being a chief. Being a chief is to take care of the least in your community. Muzione sensa kuti azigogo atetezedwa asamenyedwa asaphedwe nzigogo muntu wokalamba, because that's the belief kuti agogo aja ndi amene akupanga ufiti. It's a corruption of the culture. It's a wrong mentality. It's ndi zikhulupiriro zaboza and zimapanga spread kwambiri chifukwa cha failure of leadership. You can't stand that if you want to protect the weakest. So sitikufuna kunena kuti chaka cha mafumu muzati kwathu kuli njala. What were you doing iweyo ngati mfumu? If you are inkosi, if you are a paramount chief, if you are a village head, what is your role with regard to your people? What are you doing? What are your plans? What are you doing with your people? Mudzimuja. The community leadership, you have to rise up to wapanga challenge mafumu. Mafumu mudzimuno mulibe chipatala. We need chipatala. Tima gula antilope. We need to become citizens that are responsible. Osama wokhala ntutuka mamina basi. Mangoona kuti basi mawalero kwacha, mawakuda, osakhala ndi ambition, osakhala ndi idea kuti ifeyo tiziganiza kuti 5 years imene DPP ikulamulira ngati community, what do we want? It doesn't matter kandi ndi wakulilongwe, kandi ndi wakuzuzu, kandi ndi wakunsanje. Community yonse ikhale basi kuti nthawi imene APM ini a community muzikhala ndi idea nkumpasa president uja kuntumizira kuti kuzera kaya mwa MP ka even ma leadership achipati kuti ife community yathu tukuyembekeza kuti APM atipangira izi boma as a president, as a state president, whether in MCP, even I want to see even where we transform as a country to be holding our president accountable. But even under MCP, they should be writing to say if you community there to a president to in the APM. Obviously, it's APM. Can you do this to us? You know what we do in Malawi? We want the current president not to work. This aende. Could he fail Zabwerepo? Kumangadawas is aende. Only Zabwerepo. Musa chokapo. If I decide how this is Zamungigabe. So that is easy. Zomwe zukujite kabena understanding of politics as not learning the affairs of the people. Kuma kugwetsana, kucherana, isamba has to stop because that's also a corruption of the mind. Knowledge actually corrupted. Anyway, nabanga divert, but it's an important conversation on the fact that mafumu, my religious leaders, our MP, political leadership, and then different institutions to be held accountable. So at all levels, grassroots level, kumaenda, informal levels, kumakwera mpaka na ku formal levels, mpaka na kuntunda, mpaka na kwa president. Dziko lija amaendesa ndi ainyake the people. Akamanodi democracy, government of the people, by the people, for the people. Zimatengera kuti inyo nzika muli ndi machawi. Are you awake? Are you alive? Because you can't have government of the people, for the people, by the people. Ngati mungu gona tulo mango tuluka mamina kumaona ngati ena ake akuthamangisirani zinthu. We can only end corruption with the people's will, not political will. We need people's will. Don't say it when you're calling. Then manena za ku sector issue ya awawa agabasa. Why do we still have agabasa unregistered ones everywhere? Akupangisa ngozi, apulike, aphanye mitu. We pay bills as well as Boma. You know, the government will still pay bills for that. So I am aware that I've got about 10 minutes to conclude, so I'll be quick. When you look at Miseu Yatu, those are death traps. Miseu Mapoto and Mapoto akala 10 years. Miseu from Liwonde to Baraka, when we are going to Liongo, when we are coming, going to Zomba, has been as poor as it has been for 2 decades. And we say we have a government. We continue to, like how? Say wakumpoto umene umanenedwa nthawi zonse kumangonedwa. Where? I don't understand this. How is it kuti with all the, because I have studied Malawi. The people with real power in Malawi, if we look at tribes, now first this, the people with real power in Malawi, if we look at tribalism and all that, if we look at tribes, has always been people from the northern region. It might not be specifically Tumbuka, because northern region is not Tumbukas. Northern region is there Angonis, there are Ankata, Atonga, and then Apayan Hambimbidi, northern region. Kuma not Amatangeda Ngadonsi and Tumbuka, because the common language is Tumbuka. Now, my point is good. When it comes to real power in Malawi, I need real power in Malawi. Ndiantu northern region, because for years they have dominated the executive positions within government. They have dominated the executive positions within the private sector. They have dominated businesses. They have dominated NGO. They have NGOs. It has been dominated by people from the north. They have dominated the media. Most of the editors for years have been people from the north. The universities, they were dominated by people from the north. So, real power in Malawi for so many times, for so many years, was the real power was with the. So, Pamakala formal power, and Pamakala substantive power. You know, the substantive power, and this I argued with a professor. He was asking me, a professor of political will, what is substantive power? Kamangila date. If I want to formal and informal, in any Mazua, I've come up with the formal power, which is a president. Informal power. My advisors are. Tanyamara to Tamanga State House teacher. And made my Tomangisa into power. I'm a candidate from Germany. And people in Jamaica, those are the people that move things. For years, people from the northern region have been the ones with real power in Malawi. Government in Jamaica is down to northern region. What has been the false narrative? And talk northern region, I'm a Salido. And talk northern region is an caliber president. You know, and I want a northerner to be a president. I want, and I've said that in private. But you cannot cheat me. No one can cheat me. And I mean, if there's anyone who can argue, should come out. Professor, little power in Malawi has been in the hands of people from the north. Naiwala party mozi, researchers, you know, Kumalawi kujama researcher. Research has been dominated by people from the north. So research is what guides the country moving forward. Policy making, blah, 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 blah. And Papu southern region, Yaku central, Amazon can the formal power. Need the president in. The real power is with the PSs. The real power is the people that are running the banks, who are in majority from the north for years. My accountants, the majority of accountants are from the north. Ndalamadu, Zeni, Amina Khanazo, in a profession that has had money. You know, similar lawyer. Komanso even in legal profession, judiciary. Judiciary has been dominated for years by people from the north. Even the legal profession at large, my film, majority have Nipompano many and how northern, how southern, how central, and it was a policy which Bingu started. Let's share the cake as equal. This conversation, I'm bringing it up because tribalism can be a way which covers us and that prevents us from progress. We need to get away with tribalism and look at Malawi as one. Get away with regionalism. In fact, politics regionalism doesn't make sense in Malawi. And how connected we are. This is why APM will get a lot of votes in Ilongwe. This is why SKC would get a lot of votes in the northern region. This is why Chakwera would get so many votes in Sanje in 2020. So, that regionalism, that tribalism, they want to stiff the people's will. The people's will, the people's will, the wants dziko lathu. Siandale wayo. Makamba za akabaza. Amena amapolisa mitu, antu kumaso mitu yao. Amena kubwesa bilioni 2 mu health sector. Why are we not stopping these things? My vote again. These people are dying. Which votes are you going to have? We should care and do the right thing. Rule of law matters. Policy jesibangalani without being run as a political thing. I think that for years the police has run as a political branch of security. Walwandale kwambiri ku police. And to professionalism anaiponya, they throw it out of the window. Which is something that we should all be concerned. We should all be concerned, and we should rise to the occasion. We should rise to the occasion and ensure that we get back to the police that is professional and not partisan. Nimakamba za infaya zoti nakata kuzipewa zaji nangadi Professor Bingwa Mtalika. Mina na fera chifukwa chosowa mankhwala specific mankhwala amina jao pali report imena tuluka after commission of inquiry. If you find out what has changed, you see nothing changed. Mina na mwalilila Sadiq Mia. I believe with a good health sector. Sadiq Mia sana kati siya ngati mene zina endera muji. Kuma chifukwa situation. When you look at many endera za SKC indeed many others after the accident or whatever happened, after the incident, it's an end of the accident, the incident. I'm very careful with my words, and we should all be. After the incident, yande gauge, muntu ukala 2 hours, 2 days, almost 2 days, and ukala 2 days. Bali mwanseo, zimezi tasizima mveka nditu. Ntari ya COVID kunabidwa ndalama, mabilion. Ajakwera nani na ude, abweza kuma kuti. Sindi kufuna kutaya nthawi apa, chifukwa kuti nthawi yanga ndithera, patha kukhala mafunso anthu atha kundifunsa, komano ndimafuna kunena kuti independence of the judiciary does not necessarily mean the absence of accountability. In fact, you can't have independence of the judiciary without accountability. So what we have been having in the judiciary, there's been zero accountability. A Chief Justice Nzikamanda Rezine akanika kubanga hold accountable, the judges accountable, the judicial officers accountable. He has been part of the corruption. And there's evidence to this. His silence is proven, and we find kuti muntu anakwakawatira kwake ni manda, and sakupanga declare interest kuti akeni manda ndabale anga. So ken manda akapanga zake zopoira kulilongwe akuntumiza ku Blantyre akunkwezaso. That's corruption. That's clear corruption. So if we have the whole Chief Justice embroidered, caught up in the corruption, then where do we go? We have the Deputy Chief Justice Resmi, not Resmi Zigamanda, but the Deputy Rav Mopo Chikoba, who is the Prince of Thieves. He's the Prince of Corruption. The corruption in Malawi is protected by Chikoba. He's the heart for years, actually. And people know this. People know this. It's not even a secret. And we are saying we don't know what to do. No, we should hold the judiciary accountable. All the judges I've mentioned, let me not go with further names, but when it comes to people like Wapona Kita, everyone knows how Wapona operates. People know. In fact, there are specific clients that go to Wapona Kita because he's corrupt and they want their things to be done, whatever they say, come rain, come sunshine. So they go to those people. In fact, the fact that we haven't held accountable, the fact that Malawi lawless society has not held accountable lawyers like Frank Mbeda, Lusungu Gondwe, and Gift Nankuni, Gift Kadungu, and all those people that are embedded, that have spearheaded the corruption in the legal profession, then you don't expect the practices to end. You basically you are breeding new lawyers who are inspiring these lawyers. At first, they might not know what is behind their success, but when they get into the practice of the law and they see it's too good, and sometimes it's too late for them to change, because I want to bring you to the issue of Sata. Makesa Sata is not clear, umbava umene Sata waba waononga user military. So, if I read, as a country, our security is compromised. Then the Guzen, it's not even a secret. Security actually compromised because of corruption. You can't have a military open ndege you but in Tama Zandegi is mapeleke domini kujago kumandegi and Hamango Soisa Mango Jandrama. Majeno Ambimbi, they are implicated in the corruption. So if you start talking about corruption in the judicial, security is compromised. Hey, this is national interest, national security interest. Asadana umene kujabu yesa antu majeno amene wao anthu akamaoneka anthu anyamata aule mwawo katoziwa nkhondo nditu actually kumenya nkhondo. So if you have the general military is a place, and I want the current army general to listen to this. Military is where people have to be more disciplined and love their country. You fight the enemies outside, domestic, including the domestic enemies of the country, and you can't have generals being involved in the corruption. The moment you do that, so that country has continued for years being in the hands of Indians, in the hands of a few black families. The hegemonic Greeks are referring to, because it has corrupted the people that are supposed to protect the people. And army. Because any military person who is involved in corruption, that person has no business to be in the military. Being in the military, discipline and thing is very critical. But you have Majeno implicated in the corruption. Andika klabu gao even akapangalita ama kamenya golf kulilongo. Alimuga gugao Antonina uta ndizi milandu Zambiri mbili kakulu. Ifetima jita zodi inumu ni milandu, and no one holds them account. No one wants to speak out. A country of cowards. It can't go anywhere. The people's will. You need to have a will, and this will is spiritual in a way. I mean, it's God has given each one of us a will. But let me not go into God. The museum, when I the museum, as Bumaifa and Tufe, Timana Mizila Mungu gave us everything. Wabanga, Gombadi, did how you are too. The ombudsman, so the arrest of Martha Jizuma is a clear, blatant impunity. You're opening the country for corruption. It was clear. The person that was standing for justice, she stood out and said, Nimanga wagudi, Nimanga ya upesum pakana tititi. Haukam pezela zefuga kumanga pakana. Blatant impunity. The ombudsman gave a report on ICB director, then Mr. Hilary Chilomba. He was not qualified. So how was this shortlisted? And how is someone who is not qualified to be a director or SCB director? What business do they have to be a deputy? Because a deputy is a step away from being a director. So you should not even put someone who is not qualified to be a SCB director to be a deputy in the first place. The fact he is the one who has overseen one of the worst SCB directorate within this period. Fadu anyamada MCB wa bandalama ndipo and this is ndalama zimenezo akugawa na ndi amene akuyena kutipulumusa Malawi and mwazi wa anthu ake na malamba anyway.